Welcome to NovelBot. This is the audiobook of Rebirth of a Genius. Creator Destroyer Chapter 61 to 70. All the candidates walked towards the box and picked the tokens one by one, and came back to their groups. Each token has a number between 1 and 6. An attendant came forward towards the group and said, "Form a group according to the number on the token." After he spoke, everyone started moving and soon 6 groups formed, but this time the members are all jumbled. Sam looked at the token in his hands which showed number 6 on it, and then looked at the new teammates he has to work with for the following days. He didn't know how to react when he saw that there is only one person that he is familiar with in the team, and that is Jack. The rest of the team are completely strangers to both of them. Sam and Jack stood together and took a look at the rest of the team members. There are 2 girls in the rest of the team, and one of them is the part of the Falcon Cliff team. She wore an exquisite dress and has a proud look on her face. She must have been from an affluent family. He remembered that the girl has obtained 19 points in the Tower of Will. Another girl is a bit normally dressed compared to the first girl, and she is from another subordinate city. She has a normal face which will easily blend in a crowd. The remaining 6 members are mostly from the other subordinate cities, except for the 2 people who are from the Falcon Cliff city. 2 of them stood on either side of the proud girl, and tried to talk to her, as if they are sucking up to her, and her only replied with her arrogant face and light words. But they didn't seem to be bothered with it. From the remaining 4, 2 people are from the Mountain Lake City, 1 is from the Misty River City, and the remaining 1 is from another subordinate city named Blue Lake City. Sam didn't try to make a conversation with them as he saw the hostile looks from the rest of the team. They seemed to hold a deep opposing opinion against him, and didn't look like they want to talk to him. Sam and Jack didn't bother with them and just stood side by side silently waiting for the elder to continue. After a few moments, when everyone is settled, the elder continued. "We will be placing a seal on you which will bind your cultivation as well as your eyesight. After we leave you in your respective spots of in the forest, you will regain your sight after some time. The round will go for 7 days at maximum. The one with the highest points wins. The points which you gain individually will be yours, and the points you gain together as a team will be divided among the participants according to their wishes. Some elders will be monitoring you in the woods and are also responsible for the point records. If you are in a disagreement with the teammates about the points allocations, you have to solve it within 15 minutes, or else the elders would note your points down. The elders won't be helping you directly and they would not interfere even if you are in a life and death situation unless you break your token. If you break your token, not only will they help you, but also you will lose your right to compete further and will be escorted out of the woods. On the matter of how you can earn your points, there are 3 most basic ways. 1 is eliminating the opponent teammates. For every opponent you defeat, you will be awarded with a point, and if you are fighting against multiple opponents at the same time, you will be having a progression on the points you have obtained. That is, if you are fighting against 3 opponents, you will get 1 point for the first one, 2 points for the second one, 3 points for the third one. The second way to obtain the points is to collect the point scrolls in the forest. There are point scrolls kept in various places in the forest. Every scroll you obtain is a bunch of points. You have to find the scroll, obtain it, and then you have to open the scroll and place your token on it to claim points. Not only point scrolls, you can also find attack scrolls, scrolls which can unseal your cultivation, weapons, food resources, medicine kits in various places. Whatever you obtain depends on your awareness, adaptability and your intelligence. I only have one advice for you guys. Every danger leads to an opportunity and every opportunity leads danger to you. The final way to obtain points is simple, you just have to survive. Every single day you survive is a point to you. That means, even if you don't do anything and just manage to survive for 7 days, you will still get 7 points. So, I hope you can survive and all the best. Elders, seal the cultivation." As soon as the elder finished his speech, other elders came forward and walked towards the participants, and started using some scrolls and sealed their cultivations. Sam looked at the elder, who took out a scroll and used it on him. His vision turned black, and he felt his spiritual core completely sealed. Then he felt someone holding his hand and started guiding him somewhere. After some time, Sam opened his eyes and looked around. His eyes blurred by the sudden light. By the time his eyes adjusted to the surroundings, his teammates also came to their senses and looked around the surroundings. They are in middle of woods, where is a patch of plain land surrounded by a bunch of densely packed trees. "I am Dustin from the Falcon Cliff City. Let us introduce ourselves." One of them spoke. Then one by one all of the teammates introduced themselves. Val from Falcon Cliff City. Jesse from Falcon Cliff City. Jack from Starwood City. Sam from Starwood City. Eve from Sandstone City. Vales from Mountain Lake City. Shore from Mountain Lake City. Tom from Misty River City. Kiba from the Blue Lake City. "Okay, now that we knew each other, we need to have a team leader. I would nominate myself to the position," Dustin said as he looked at others proudly. Everyone looked at each other and then looked at Jack and Sam. After all, those two guys hold top positions in the first round. They thought that they might have some objections, but they only saw Jack observing Sam, while the latter is touching and sniffing the surroundings. Dustin and the other two from the Falcon Cliff City are also watching the duo, to see if they have any objections. Now that none of you have any objections, I will be the team leader now. You guys have to listen to what I have to say and complete the assigned jobs. First of all, we have to get out of here as soon as possible. Suddenly Dustin's speech was interrupted by Sam. He looked at Sam and said, "What do you mean, we have to get out as soon as possible? Don't interrupt when I am speaking," he said in a harsh voice. Sam didn't bother with him and said, "We are in territory of a beast. We aren't ready to fight with it yet. If we don't get out of here soon, we might have to encounter it, which is clearly not a good idea." As soon as Sam said that, someone sneered. "Why should we believe you? Just because you said we were in a territory of a beast, we are there. How come we didn't see any signs of beasts here?" The one who spoke this time is Val. He looked at Sam and said these words with an arrogant voice. "I don't have time to explain to you guys." He paused as he looked at the sky and then continued. "If you guys don't want to get into trouble, follow me, otherwise don't blame me later." As soon as he finished, Sam turned to a direction and started running while Jack followed after giving a look to the crowd. Crowd were dumbstruck by his decisiveness. They didn't expect that Sam would leave just like that. Well, they're still in daze. Roar pierced the silence and got them back from their daze. "It seems like a bear's roar," Eve said in a low voice. She immediately turned to look at the direction in which Sam has left, and then looked at the rest of group. Soon, the roaring sounds neared them, and footsteps could be heard. The group immediately got tensed. "Let us move," Dustin said and picked a direction as he moved. When the rest of them are about to follow, the low voice stopped them in their tracks. They went in that direction. Eve said from behind, "We don't need to go there." The sound of stream could be heard from this direction. "If we go there, we can have a water resource near us," Dustin said and started moving again. The rest of them followed, and Eve also paused for a second, but still followed the group. Meanwhile, Jack and Sam ran for a distance and sat near a large tree. When they heard the loud roar, Sam smirked and Jack heaved a sigh of relief. Then the latter looked at Sam and asked, "How do you know that we are in danger?" He was really curious on how Sam was able to do that easily. They clearly didn't have any spiritual sense as their cultivations are sealed. Sam just smiled and said, "The place we are in stinks of urine of the bear, and the trunks have some claw marks of the bear. The marks seem to be freshly made, which indicates it got the territory recently, so the bear will concentrate highly on this place to deal with the invaders. So, we have to leave the place as soon as possible." "Then why didn't we go to the stream nearby? We could have a water source nearby, wouldn't it be helpful?" Jack asked again. "Who said that near the stream is a safe place? We shouldn't be too near to the stream, we want to stay safe. Now that we are normal people, we have to take care, and it is not safe near the stream. After all, we are not the only people who needs water. If we stay too near the stream, we have to face all the beasts which will come to have water, and we are too far away, we might have trouble getting water. That is why we ran this way. We cannot take any risk until we have a clear view on the situation. We just came here and we need to understand and adapt before we think about starting a fight." Sam finished and Jack nodded in understanding. "Ah." Suddenly a shriek could be heard, and both of them turned towards the direction where the sound came and saw some people coming towards them. They're the members of the team. They are running with their lives as a bear was chasing them. Out of 8 there are only 7 people left. "Climb a tree and stay still without making a noise," Sam instructed Jack, and he stood up and took off his pants as he started peeing at the roots of the tree. The girls who were in the middle of the group didn't see anything, but the boys who were in front felt like they were hit by lightning when they saw the unexpected view. Sam didn't bother with them and put on his pants and immediately climbed a tree. Then he turned towards the group who are still running and said, "You guys pick a tree and climb it. Then stay still without making any noise." After that he stayed silent. The group immediately made their way to the tree that are near to them and started climbing. Even though they are normal people without their cultivation, since their bodies are refined by the spiritual energy, their strength is absolutely superior to a normal average human. That is the reason they were able to run away from the bear. Otherwise, they could just forget about running away. All the members climbed the tree, but the bear still caught a man who is at the back of the group. No. He is none other than Tom. He immediately took the token from his pocket and broke it. Then a shadow came to their view and then took away Tom from the bear's claws. The bear didn't understand what was going on for a second. It started sniffing around to find the scent of the group and started clawing the tree trunks. Even then the group stayed still from Sam's warning. Suddenly, Bear stopped its movements and walked towards the tree. Sam climbed and started sniffing around. Then it looked around. With a loud roar, it turned around and walked away. The team members of the Team 6 are all gathered after the bear left the area. Well, at least all the remaining members. The 6 members who came and joined Sam and Jack are looking at the duo awkwardly, not knowing what to say. They ostracized him at first because they got jealous of his achievement in the Tower of Will. But now they almost got killed because of their behavior. Now, they understood what the elder was warning them about: adapting and surviving. This test is harder than they thought it would be. Thank you. Eve broke the silence with her slow and timid voice. She looked at her feet and didn't look him in the eye. After a few moments, the rest of the members also thanked him except for Dustin. He is still suffering from the embarrassing situation. Sam scanned the crowd and just nodded at their words. Everyone turned silent again. Looking at the awkward situation, Jack said, "What's next?" He looked at Dustin while saying these words. The latter felt even more embarrassed. "Sam, will you be the leader of the group?" "Sure, ask." The rest of the group also looked at him with some expectation. All except for one. Sam looked at their expressions and said after a few moments of silence, "If you guys want me to lead the team, I have some conditions." "What are they?" Val asked. "First of all, you guys better listen to every command without any questions, and if you don't want to listen, you can just leave the group. The second thing is that point scrolls you find are yours individually, and even if we work as a team to obtain it, I will decide on who will get what share of the points. The third and final condition: if you fight with someone, you can take the points by yourselves, and I won't interfere in the battle unless you ask me to, and then I will take my share of points. Same goes for you guys too. If I am having a battle to get points, you are not allowed to get in my way and interfere. If we battle as a team, I will decide the share of points according to the contribution of everyone. If you're okay with all the conditions, you guys can follow me. If you don't, you can be on your own way now." The rest of the teammates were dumbstruck on the conditions. If they were to agree, they will lose control of their actions completely to Sam. So, they are hesitating. "Why do you get to decide the point share?" Dustin asked. "I will be providing ways to find food, and I will be the one to provide you the ways to live safely, and I will be the one to lead you guys in a battle. Then who do you think should share the points if not me?" Sam spoke and took a seat near a tree as he leaned against the trunk, and Jack followed his actions. Sam looked at their pondering expressions and said, "I don't have all day for you guys. The first day is the most important day and I can't waste my time on you. Please, decide quickly." His voice carried a hint of impatience. All of them exchanged glances and started whispering to each other. The trio from the Falcon Cliff City seemed to came to a decision, and Dustin spoke. "We can't agree to your suggestion on the point share. I will be the leader of the team and decide the point share, and you will be responsible for the food and shelter, for which I will give you 10% points from each person in the group on top of your share." Dustin said, and the remaining 2 nodded their heads. Sam looked at them with an amusing expression and stood up as he stretched lazily. "What about you guys?" he asked the remaining 3 people. "I will join you," Eve said, and took a step forward. Both Vales and Shore looked at each other and said, "We also agree with Dustin and others. You deciding the point share is a bit unreasonable." Sam raised his eyebrow and asked, "Why do you think so? What if you distribute the points unfairly to yourselves?" Vales asked in return, "So, you think there won't be this problem with Dustin?" This time it was Jack who asked this. "What? Do you think we are like you, county bumpkins? Do you think we have to rely on these petty tricks to gain the points unfairly?" Val sneered at Jack. Sam just stayed still in silence, but Jack asked the 2 guys from the subordinate cities, "Is it your concern as well?" When he asked the question, he looked at them with some displeasure. Vales and Shore didn't answer, but from their embarrassed expression, the answer is obvious. They really did think that Sam might use this to get more points, and Dustin wouldn't do so, because in their eyes only them from a subordinate city who have less resources has to rely on those means. In their eyes, the people from Account City are all noble and superior. Sam could guess their thoughts without them speaking. He shook his head with a wry smile. The more people he met, the more similarities he found about these people to the people from his previous world. They really do hold high opinion on the people from a superior place. For example, most people from India have a great prejudice that the all other Indians are like them, and their behavior is similar, and the Americans, who are from a richer country, will have a superior way of thinking and treat them as something special. And when I say most, I am considering the large populace, and I am not targeting anyone personally, and by the way, I am also an Indian, and there was a time I had that opinion. Sam looked at the remaining team members and said, "The conditions I said aren't up for negotiation. If you guys have listened to me regarding the bear incidents, I would have stayed in the team without being a leader, but after that happened, no chance. You guys can be on your own." Sam said and turned around to walk away. Jack and Eve followed. "Wait, I will join you," Shore said, and immediately walked towards them hurriedly. Actually, he really didn't have anything against Sam being the leader. He agreed with Dustin because of his friend's suggestion to suck up to the candidates from the eminent background in the Count City. They also thought that Sam would immediately agree and won't leave the group. But when it came to the point, he chose to trust Sam more as he proved his worth just now. The remaining 4 people remained there with an unpleasant expression on their faces. The trio especially are gritting their teeth in anger. They didn't expect that Sam would leave decisively. They just wanted to give it a try to take over the point share, and if it didn't work, they will try to get some benefits. But Sam didn't follow their script and just left as soon as they tried their trick, and now, they are hesitating whether to follow him as they felt that it would be their loss of face to follow him. Before they could make the decision, Sam and the other 3 left the place. What is so great about him? We can definitely make it in this forest. The last time is just because we are caught off guard. Dustin snorted as if trying to convince them and himself. The other nodded. Yes, once we get our hands on a cultivation scroll, we can get through this easily. Vales also said from the side. Jessie, the only female, is looking at the direction Sam left. The other are thinking that they can easily get through this if they unseal the cultivation. But is getting the scroll so easy? Sam and the 3 teammates started walking towards a certain direction at a moderate pace as he examined the surroundings. Soon, they stopped at an empty place surrounded by trees. They could hear a faint sound of stream. Sam left the group there and walked towards the sound, and soon found a small stream going through a rocky bed. The stream is very small, and its depth is also very low. The water is pure and transparent, as the pebbles in the gravel can be seen clearly under the water. Sam took a handful of water and took a sip. The water tasted normal and a bit refreshing after the walk. He went back to the team and said, "The water stream is that way, and the stream is too small to attract bigger animals. This place is good for now. We can stay here for tonight. First of all, we need a few things to stay safe. First thing is we need fire. Second, we need to find some food and some containers to store water. Sure, go and collect some firewood. The sticks need not be big, but they should be dry, and bring as many as you can. Eve, you fetch some dried leaves, dried grass, bird's nest, dried tree bark along with some green leaves, which are big. Both of you don't go too far. You should be within the visible range from this place. Jack, you will follow me." Sam gave instructions and walked to a certain direction along with Jack, after he saw the other 2 left. Sam and Jack walked towards a direction where there is a small path in between the grass. They are moving stealthily and slowly without making any sound. They finally stopped near a cave and hit on a tree. "We have our target inside the cave," Sam said to Jack in a low voice. "What is it?" Jack asked curiously. "I don't know exactly. But it is a beast, but the danger is less compared to the bear we encountered earlier." Jack didn't say anything, and he waited as Sam broke a bamboo tree which is a distance away from them. After that he searched a while and finally found a stone which has somewhat sharp edge. He came back to Jack and asked, "How sure are you at your throwing skills?" "I can do just fine," Jack said in a confused tone. He didn't know why Sam was asking this but still answered, "Okay, then. In some time, the animal will be coming out of the cave, and I will try to stop it to stay in a single place. You have to hit its head from a distance, and the hit should be as strong as possible. The cave is so wide. Is it possible to stop it in a place?" Jack asked. Sam didn't say anything, and both of them went back to the camp place. The other 2 already came back with the stuff they collected. Sam placed the bamboo pole in the stone on the ground, and picked up some dried wood. The next actions made the group confused to no end. He picked up a flat piece of wood and round stick and placed them together. Then he peeled the outer layer of the bamboo pole, twisted and weaved a thin but stiff rope. He took a raw stick and made a small bow on which thread he made a small loop around the round stick he picked up earlier. He made a bow drill to start a fire. He placed the stick attached to the bow on the flat wood, and started operating the bow drill. After around 10 minutes of continuous action, Sam was already sweating, and the hole formed on the wood started emitting some smoke, and he took out the drill quickly, and took some bird's nest, and placed a small spark in wood on the nest, and after some continuous blowing the nest caught fire. Soon, there's a fire in the middle of the camp, and the teammates are all surrounding it. Even though it is just a little before evening and it is not that cold, they were still happy to rest before a fire. They didn't understand how Sam made a fire out of some dry wood, but they were surprised and in awe at the trick he performed. Sam didn't sit for a long time. He walked towards the bamboo pole and broke it in half, each half measuring up to 3 feet long. He took one half and split one end into several thin vertical pieces, until it reached a half-foot long, and started sharpening the edges of each tip. After some time, he took some sticks and broke them into small pieces. He then placed them at the bottom of the split end, to make the pieces he split to spread as wide as possible. Now, the pole has one end normally, and the other end like an inverse umbrella frame without the canopy. He took other half of the pole and stuffed the opening with some tree bark and dried leaves, and covered it with some green grass, leaving only a small opening to reach the dry stuff. He gave the stone to Jack and picked up the 2 poles, then started walking towards the cave, as Jack followed him with a wooden stick which is still burning. After they walked near the premise of the cave, both of them looked at the cave as they hid behind a tree. Soon, they saw a fox entering the cave with a rabbit in its mouth. After it went deep inside the cave, Sam gestured Jack to move, and they picked up all the dried wood around the area and arranged it on the ground at the entrance of the cave, leaving only a small area as if leaving a path. After arrangements are done, Sam lit the dried wood, as well as the bamboo pole he stuffed the dried and green leaves with, and threw the pole inside the cave. Then he held the pole with the inverse umbrella frame facing the path. Soon the dried wood was burning vigorously, and the inside of the cave is also filled with smoke, and amid the smoke, a creature ran outside and looked at the fire surrounding the cave, and ran towards the only way, that is towards the pole Sam held. He immediately pressed the frame on the fox's head with all his might and pinned on the ground for a second. "Jack now," Sam shouted, and soon the stone with a sharp edge flew through the air and pierced through the ear of the fox, immediately seizing its movements. Sam slowly moved towards the fox and, to be on safe side, quickly broke its neck. After that, both of them put out the fire with the soil around them. Jack looked at Sam and smiled, for which latter replied with same one. Both of them walked inside the cave and saw the half-eaten. They held a torch and walked towards the cave a bit deeper, and within the light of the flame, they saw a small dagger. Both of them smiled, and Sam picked up the dagger as he checked it. Now, he clearly understood the statement of the elder. Every danger leads to an opportunity. The danger of facing the fox may lead to this dagger. He passed the dagger to Jack and kept on searching and found nothing else. He tried to search for a point scroll, but there is nothing. Both of them came out and started dressing the fox right there instead of making it at the camp. Then they cut the pieces of the fox meat and left the carcass there before walking towards the camp. Sam and Jack came back to the camp with fox meat and a shining dagger in their hands. By the time they came, the sun is already set and it is becoming dark. A while later, the four members sat around the fire as the fox meat was left to roast over it. Sam took a bite off the roasted meat in his hands and said, "Tonight, we will be staying here, and from tomorrow onwards, we will be moving, and every day we will set a new camp by evening. We must explore as much area as possible in this forest in the remaining 6 days. The main priority for us is to search for the animals, and mostly the cruel ones. Today we found a dagger when we took down a fox. As the elder said, we have to search for the dangers for the opportunities. But animals are not the only dangers that we are going to encounter. There are other places in the forest where we might get some benefits. Get as much sleep as you can for tonight. We are going to take down that bear which chased us tomorrow. 2 people will sleep while the other 2 will keep watch. We will change in the middle." After they finished the dinner, Jack and Eve slept on the makeshift beds made of some large leaves and grass, while Sam and Shore took the watch. Shore didn't say anything as he kept watch on his surroundings while Sam worked with the dagger in his hands. He is using the dagger on the slightly thinner bamboo poles, as he sharpened the edge of the pole, as if he was making a spear. All the while, he is keeping his watch and sharpening the poles one after another. The poles are not long, as they are only 3 feet each. He skillfully sharpened 10 poles by the time Jack woke up along with Eve, and took the watch duty. Sam gave the dagger to Jack and instructions to sharpen the poles just like he did, and went to sleep. While the 4 are in a goose shape with the food and fire along with some comfortable sleep, the rest of the teams are not faring well. These guys don't know the bow drill or any other techniques that will make fire. Because, as far their knowledge goes, a fire can be made by a fire mage, and if he is not available, a scroll or an articraft will do the trick. That was it. They clearly didn't understand the ways to make a fire. All they could do was search for fruits and some wild vegetable to make do with for the food. Some teams are lucky to find them, and some people are taking rest on their empty stomachs. Even more pitiful thing is that, now that they are ordinary people, they have to endure the cold weather of night and the mosquitoes of the wild, as they huddle under a tree. One of those groups is the one that left Sam. The group of 4 right now are leaning against a tree as they huddled themselves to endure the chill of the air. Never would have they expected that they would have to live life like this. The forest is truly a test to one's will. After they left the other 4, they started walking, but the forest path is much harder to travel than they thought. They are at least lucky enough to not encounter another animal like the bear, but they failed to find any fruits. The only silver lining is that they were able to get some water from the stream they encountered in the morning. "It is all because of you, jerk." Jessie gritted her teeth as she scolded Dustin as he slapped the mosquito on her hand to death. Her face lost all the elegance and pride she has in the morning. Now she looked haggard and pale. Her clothes were dirty and she looked weak. Dustin didn't know what to say to this pampered princess. He agreed that he was the one who proposed the idea to oppress Sam a bit to just satisfy their ego a bit, in order to gain one over him, due to their jealousy on the first round scores. But the remaining 2 absolutely agreed to it, and they were even a bit happy at that time, but now this Jessie is blaming him completely. He just shook his head and diverted his thoughts to Sam. He was thinking how the remaining team was doing in the forest. He hoped that they would suffer a bit, so that he could feel better about himself. Sun rose and the forest was full of chirping birds. Sam and Shore woke up. The fire has been exhausted by now and only some live charcoal was left. Sam made himself lose the sleepiness and walked towards the fire and placed a fresh dry stick, but didn't let it burn, instead made it have a spark like a live coal. He then walked towards a bamboo pole and cut a section of bamboo, and placed the stick in it, as he covered the both open ends with some green grass, and finally poked some holes on the outer surface of the bamboo pole. He then walked towards some really tall bamboo trees, and started checking them by tapping them on various sections. When he finally found the one he wanted, he used the dagger, a big stick, to chop off the tree near its roots. After that he cut some sections which he tapped earlier, and in front of the surprised gazes of everyone, he poked a hole on the bamboo section, and a transparent liquid immediately came out. He quickly put his mouth over the hole and drank the liquid with a pleasing expression on his face. After emptying the section, he looked at the rest and said, "This is one of the purest forms of the water sources in a forest. Have some, it will be refreshing." Then he passed the remaining sections with water to them. After everyone had the water, they looked at Sam to hear his instructions. He then looked at the group and asked, "I am a warrior mage of fire element. What about you guys?" His question was intended to the two strangers, but Jack also answered, "I am a warrior. Swordsman. I am a mage of earth element." Shore said, "I am a mage of wood element." Eve replied. Sam was dumbfounded by the situation. He didn't know whether it was luck or bad luck to have these two guys in the team. Because both of their abilities are most beneficial in the forest at the same time, he can't use it. After all, even if he gave them the scrolls that can be used for unsealing their cultivation, there is chance that they would betray him. Now he is feeling conflicted and he could only find one solution. He has to find enough scrolls to everyone, if he wanted to go use their abilities to ensure they won't have any thoughts of backstabbing him. And giving them the scrolls first is absolutely impossible. He quickly shook off the thoughts and said, "Today our target is the bear. We have to make sure we can kill it properly, and we cannot risk any mistakes in the plan, as it may cost us our lives. But I can assure you that the reward would be high. First of all, we have to reach the vicinity of its hideout without it noticing us. For that we need to take some precautions, and the first one is we need to conceal our scent. Bears are one of the beasts that have a keen sense of smell, and if we give away the slightest scent, we would be done for. In fact, the scent is the main reason that we were discovered by it so soon yesterday. Second thing is, we need to make sure that we make as little sound as possible. As it is a forest, the bear wouldn't bother with every sound, but the big movements will alert it to make a move. The third thing is that we need to prepare something to make a trap for the bear." Sam finished his words and led the team to the stream. After that he started picking the mud near the stream and started applying all over his body. He took off his shirt and applied the mud all over the upper body, and then he took off his pants without a care about the lady behind. Eve immediately closed her eyes and turned around to avoid looking at the man, while the man himself doesn't seem to care at all. Jack and Shore were dumbfounded as they saw Sam's actions without a hint of shyness. When Sam completed the task, wore his cloths after soaking them in mud, he turned around and looked at the three people, then only realized what happened, and he couldn't help but shake his head with a wry smile. He felt that he was back in those days when he was a soldier taking a mission in forest. He completely didn't feel awkward being naked in front of the team, as that was how he was in his past life. Sam just disregarded the whole matter off and instructed the whole team to apply the mud as walked back to the camp. After some time, the three people came back with their whole bodies covered in mud. He then stood up and said, "We need to prepare something to trap the bear. Even though we can take it head on if we go all out, we will be exhausted by the end, and if other teams spot us, we will be done completely. Before that, let us go and find out where the bear's home is. After that we can think of the rest of the plan." Sam, Jack and Shore are walking while carrying the sharpened bamboo poles, and Eve is carrying the bamboo section in which he placed the dried stick with the fire spark. Soon, they arrived at the spot they opened their eyes yesterday. Sam then started searching for trails of the bear, and finally found them, and from then on, they slowly and carefully followed the trail. After walking for more than an hour, they finally found a cave in their line of sight. Sam stopped them and changed the path as they walked in a different direction. After they reached a good distance and found a safe place, he kept the poles down. "We are going to make these preparations here. Jack, you stay near the cave and inform us as soon as the bear left the cave, and also see in which direction it left." After giving the instructions to Jack, he took out the rope he made of the bamboo outer layer, and started tying the poles. He made 3 frames of the 18 poles that he and Jack made. "Both of you go search the nearby places and find a beehive. Also check it out if you can find some vines nearby. Don't go too far though." He instructed Eve and Shore, and then walked towards a nearby tree with a dagger. The trunk of the tree is not too thick. It is only about average. He placed the dagger's edge on the trunk and used a stick as a hammer, and started chopping the tree bit by bit. After some time, Shore and Eve returned. But Sam is still only 1/3 of the tree trunk. He still didn't stop after their arrival, and after a horrendous effort, the tree was finally down. But Sam was still not done as he started chopping the wood on the upper side of the trunk. After all, he is making a log off it. When he was almost done with it, Jack came and informed about the bear's departure. Sam immediately got alerted and became faster in his actions. He turned towards Shore and Eve. We found both of them, but we don't know how to retrieve it, Shore said in an awkward tone. Then only Sam realized that he forgot the fact he is dealing with amateurs. Shore, you go and take watch near the bear cave. Eve, lead me and Jack to the vines and beehive. Shore nodded and left to take watch. Eve led Sam, who was holding the pole and the live dried wood with fire spark, along with him and Jack to the beehive. Both of you go and get some vines. Sam gave the dagger to Jack and sent them off. He started a small fire nearby and started burning some green grass, and he placed the burning green grass near the beehive, with the help of the pole. Soon, due to the smoke, the bees started falling off the hive, and Sam got the honey he needed. Soon, Jack came with the vines along with Eve, and all of them walked towards the place they camped temporarily. Sam started setting a log trap with the vines in the log. He set the trap in such a way that if the bear stepped on the rope, the log will come and hit the person who stepped on the rope. Of course, the rest of them didn't understand. Meanwhile, with his instructions, the Eve and Jack worked on a tree which is aligned with the path of the log swing, and tied the 3 frames made with the bamboo spikes he created. He made the things with the help of Jack as soon as possible, afraid that the bear will return. When he was finally done with the traps, he had the honey-filled hive and placed on half near the rope, and covered the rope with some dead leaves. Then he took the other half and squeezed it slightly. Honey started dripping from it. He then turned towards Eve. You take the hive and make a trail of honey until you can see the cave and drop the hive there, and then you and Shore climb tree as fast as you can, and stay still without making a noise. Eve nodded and started performing the task. Then he turned towards Jack and said, after we lure the bear here, we have to make sure that we kill it, otherwise a beast in its last struggle is an absolute nightmare. Sam said and passed a bamboo pike to Jack, as both of them climbed 2 trees, which are the positions they need to take respectively to make the final move. After waiting for an hour or so, they finally heard the footsteps and growls of the bear, which made both of them alert. Soon, they saw a bear which is sniffing and licking the trail of honey, and soon ran excitedly after it saw the hive. Before the bear could reach the hive, the trap activated and a log swung in full force towards the bear. The bear sensed the danger and tried to avoid it by backing down, but the log still hit it at the upper ribs, and threw it towards the tree with bamboo spikes. The bear hit the tree and the spikes pierced into it, albeit only few of them. But Sam was not happy as he saw the bear still moving. Now he shouted and he and Jack moved at the same time as a pike and a dagger both pierced into the eyes of the bear at the same time, seizing its movements. Even though the plan was success, Sam was not happy. He felt that it was barely passable as he looked at the wounds of the bear. The spikes placed on the tree almost did no damage. If he and Jack didn't take the opportunity of the dazed state of the bear, they might have been in a pickle as they can't confront the bear, even in its injury due to log trap, as it will make it hard to fight a bear in its rage state. He underestimated the animals in this world. Just like them, as they are stronger than the humans from Earth, even in their normal human state after their cultivations are sealed, the animals also are a bit stronger. Sam marked these thoughts in his mind as he told Jack to call Eve and Shore to come back, while he picked up the bear's dead body. Sam started picking the spikes out of the bear's body. By the time he was done, the remaining 3 came and 4 of them worked together and dragged the corpse to the middle and started dressing it. When Sam started dissecting the bear and tore open its torso, he found a small scroll inside, which surprised all 4 of them. He took the scroll and opened it to see that it was a point scroll. There is a number 10 written on it, and there is a runic figure with a space in the shape of their token in the center of it. The expressions of everyone immediately brighten up on seeing it. It is only second day and they already got their hands on a point scroll. Even Shore felt more delighted and satisfied on their decision to follow Sam. When they are in their own fantasies, Sam's voice interrupted their thoughts. 3 each for Jack and me. 2 each for 2 of you. Have any objections? Even Shore came back to their senses and nodded immediately. After all, they didn't do any major work other than following Sam's instructions. Sam took his token out of his pocket upon gaining their approval. The token has a number 6 on it, and there is his name engraved under it. He placed the token on the scroll, and the runes brightened up. Soon, the number on the scroll changed to 9 and then 8, and when it finally reached 7, he took the token and looked at it. There is a number 3 on the back of the token indicating his points. The points from the point scrolls can be seen on the badge. The points for the survival and obtained from the battle are calculated and noted down by the elders. After 4 of them were done with the point acquisition, Sam continued his cutting, and soon the bear was cut into several parts. He took the major parts with meat and passed them to Jack and buried the innards of the bear. Even though they can be used as food, carrying them with them in the forest is akin to putting a target on themselves. After that, all of them picked the bear meat and spikes to the cave, but before doing so, Sam set the log trap again. Why are laying the trap again? Shore asked out of curiosity. Sam smiled and said, "If someone comes here and accidentally gets hit, we can gain a point for taking out an opponent. But will the elders consider it?" Eve asked this time. This time Sam replied rather loudly, "Why won't they? After all, setting the traps also is my prowess, and everyone who fell under my trap are obviously took down by me. If they don't think so, I can't do anything about it anyway." Sam and the team left with their things and entered the bear cave. The cave is a little deeper than the previous fox cave, and it is also more spacious. But this also made it a little darker on inside. They started a fire in the middle. Shore and Eve are responsible for roasting the meat, while Jack and Sam are responsible for exploring the cave. After enduring the horrible stench of blood and gore in the cave along with the dirt, they finally found two things inside the cave. One is a weapon, which is an axe, and the another one is a defense scroll. They took the axe and the scroll back to the camp. Sam and Jack walked outside the cave after giving the defense scroll of Eve and Shore, as they took the bear hide, which he was able to remove cleanly from the bear, and walked towards the stream nearby. They moved stealthily, and after making sure that the coast is clear and there is no other creature at the stream, Sam washed the bear hide, and made use of the makeshift bamboo containers he made to collect the water back to the camp. After coming back to the cave, the four people had a sumptuous meal with bear meat. Even though the taste is full of game flavor, they didn't feel repulsive at all. After the meal, everyone started to take rest. Sam took the bear hide and started working with the dagger and the thin rope made of the bamboo skin. An hour later, he had a bag in his hand. Sam tried to pull and stretch the bag to test it, and then he let out a satisfied smile. The bag is nothing special. It doesn't even have any aesthetic look. All it has was space to place things, a cover over to not expose the things, and the rope attached to hang it over a person's shoulder. Jack came over and looked at the bag and nodded in admiration. He really wants to know how Sam got so many ideas, and how he was so familiar to the forest, and have survival skills of normal human. Of course, he will never know. Sam washed the remaining meat clean and kept to dry for air. After that, he wrapped the meat in green leaves and stored it in the bag along with the defense scroll. He left some meat to eat at night. It is already past noon. Just as he was thinking that they should go out and explore the area, a scream disturbed their peace. Sam and Jack looked at each other and smiled. The scream came from the direction precisely where they set the trap. They looked ashore and Eve as Jack asked, "Do you guys want to follow or you want to stay here?" Both of them looked at each other and decided to follow them. Jack hung the bag containing the meat and scroll. He took a bamboo pike and passed the dagger to Eve, while he passed another pike to Shore. Sam held the axe as four of them slowly walked towards the spot where they took down the bear. When they reached the spot, they saw a group of people surrounded at the tree where the bear fell. There are people from another team. And that too, it is a full team with 10 members. But only people standing, and the last one is laying on the ground unconscious. The group looked pretty haggard. He even saw some people from the Misty River City, and there is also a guy who scored 20 points in Tower of Will. The team members are pretty disturbed as they saw the person laying without any motion. "Sam, I think we should leave. They outnumber us easily," Shore said from behind. Sam smiled and replied, "Their number is the main advantage for us. Look at them, from their faces and situation, they didn't even seem to have had proper food and water since yesterday. They might have been having a hard time, adapting to being a normal human with hunger and exhaustion. This is a best opportunity to farm points." Then Sam looked towards a nearby tree. There is a middle-aged man in black looking at them. The remaining three also followed and felt a little surprised as they thought that the elders will not shoot themselves at all. "Elder, I will be getting a point for the guy who fell due to the log trap, right?" Sam asked with a smile. The elder didn't answer, but only nodded them. The team who were at the tree finally sensed Sam and his team's arrival. The guy with the 20 points, who seemed to be the leader of the group, took a step forward and asked, "Are you responsible for this?" He asked as he pointed at the log swing. But he didn't get an answer. Instead, he got a smile from Sam in return, which he took as acceptance. Despicable. "Yes, how can you use such underhanded schemes?" The teammates behind him started to complain. Sam didn't bother with them and turned towards his 3 teammates. "We are taking them down. You guys had a meal and proper rest. So, all you have to do is take down at least 1 weapon, and we can do the rest." After he finished saying, Jack placed the bag near a tree and picked the bamboo pike, which is almost as long as his sword. Shore and Eve also held their weapons tightly as they looked at the group. When their opponents looked at Sam and others having weapons like dagger and axe, they were filled with envy. Even the bamboo pikes made them frustrated. They also took some time to examine other people's appearances. Even though they are still covered by mud, their faces seemed to be fresh and energetic. Unlike them, who were completely avoiding the danger. "Derek, what should we do?" One of them asked the leader, who is the guys with 20 points at the tower. Derek was also a bit dazed and was burning with envy. He was avoiding the danger as much as he thought that he can start fighting after he found some weapons and scrolls in the forest. He thought that they might be merely hidden in some places, and he'd just have to find them. But when he looked at the 4 members in front of him, he thought that he has to face dangers directly to get the benefits. He also thought that the remaining 6 people are out in process of getting the dagger and axe. The question from the teammate woke him up from the daze. He thought for a moment and his eyes were sharp as greed clouded his mind. There are only 4 of them. If we take them down, we can get those weapons. Let us surround them, he said in a slow voice. Then he walked towards the guys who fainted due to log trap and broke his token. An elder came and vanished along with the guy. The 9 members of them exchanged glances and surrounded the 4 people. Sam just smiled and looked ashore and Eve. You only have to hold on until we can help you. If you can take at least one of them down, that is even better. After saying that, Sam and Jack nodded at each other and made their move. As both of them were warriors, their prowess came into handy here. 3 people came with Sam, and the remaining 6 went 2 versus 1 against the remaining members. Sam swung his axe directly at the chest of the guy in the middle. His move was ruthless and cruel. He doesn't care if he injured the other guy. The guys who was targeted wanted to dodge, but both sides were covered by his teammates, and he can only move backwards, but the axe still pierced through his chest and blood came out of it. The remaining 2 were dumbstruck at the scene, and before they could even make it out what happened, an axe swung over to one of them, and pierced itself into the abdomen of another guy. The remaining person wanted to run. The 3 people weren't able to put up a fight at all. They are weak as they didn't have any food or proper rest. Sam just threw the axe that pierced through the back of the remaining guy. He walked towards them and broke their tokens one by one, and picked up his axe as he looked at his teammates. Shore and Eve had their backs against a tree as they're surrounded by the 4 people. Jack is fighting with Derek. Derek seemed to be a warrior, and he is pretty skilled with his footwork and fist techniques. He is dodging the bamboo pike Jack is swinging at him and trying his best. But Jack seemed pretty relaxed. His other opponent is already groaning in pain as he rolled on the ground. Sam threw the axe at one of the 4 members who surrounded Eve and Shore. Both of them are holding there, but the 4 guys aren't daring enough to make a move. When the axe pierced one of the guys in the back and made him faint, the others are FL's turd. Shore and Eve took this chance and took down 2 opponents. Only 1 person left and Sam immediately knocked him down. When he was finished dealing with them, Jack is still toying around with Derek with a smile on his face. When he observed Sam and others are done, he immediately made a move and placed the sharp edge of the pike on Derek's throat, halting his movements. Derek's face was unwilling and reluctant. But he still took his token and broke it, and soon the only 4 members were left on the spot. Sam, 1 point for the guy fell for log trap. The remaining 9 members were taken down by you as a team. The total points are 45. How are you going to divide them? The elder standing on the branch asked them. Sam thought for a moment and said, 13 for me, 12 for Jack, 10 each for Shore and Eve. Is that okay for you? He asked a question to his teammates. They nodded without hesitation. After all, it is still a big amount no matter what. Sam said the allotment to the elder, who nodded and disappeared. The 4 of them took the bag and left back to the cave. After reaching the cave, Sam said, we will be staying here for the night. We will see what to do tomorrow morning. We have good harvest today. They stayed in the cave as they ate bear meat on the campfire. They had same arrangement as yesterday and took turns to take watch and sleep. Scores: Sam 17, Jack 15, Eve and Shore 12. At night while Sam and his team are sleeping comfortably, the remaining teams are having a hard time. Many of them doesn't even have any food in the 2 days, and they don't have any proper shelter to find rest in the cold night. But not all the teams are having this much of a hard time. A team is much better off than others, and that is Team 3. Hawk and Kelly are in this team. Due to Hawk's status and prestige, he was made as the leader immediately. He did justice for the position given to him by other members. Even though they don't have fire and warmth, nor shelter and meat, they still are 10 members left, and they were able to find enough fruits and wild vegetables, due to Hawk's observation and familiarity in the forest. He is not as skilled as Sam, but at least his teammates have enough food and water, and they have some little gain in points. How are you feeling? Hawk asked Kelly as he passed a fruit to her to eat. I am okay. Kelly has a beautiful smile on her face as she replied. Even though she looked haggard and a bit pale, she is as beautiful as ever. All the members are men in her team except for her. If not for the fact that Hawk is her friend and has her back, she knew how her situation would be, just based on the looks the people are giving her. How do you think he is doing? Hawk asked. I don't know exactly, but I think he is definitely in a better situation than us. Even though both of them didn't mention the name of that person, they knew who they were talking about. Kelly is looking at the sky as she thought of a handsome face which is usually cold as ice with a smile, when he was satisfied with the dress he made for her. She smiled at the thought of the arrogant smirk he had when he received the pseudo-rank 3 tailor artisan badge. Looking at the beautiful lady smiling like a silly little girl, Hawk shook his head and said, I hope we could meet him. Let us see if what you said is right. I really want to see how many points he got. Then a guy came and asked, Hawk, what are the plans for tomorrow? Are we going to search for another team or are we going to search for squirrels? I don't know. I think we need to take a risk for tomorrow. All this time we are avoiding all the dangers from the beast. I think if we don't go and look for them, we won't have a chance for getting anything substantial. Tomorrow our target is to get some squirrels, either they are point squirrels, cultivation squirrels, attack squirrels. We have to find something, and we will be picking away tomorrow. Tell them to rest properly tonight. After receiving Hawk's instructions, the guy went to the other teammates and gave the message. You also need to rest properly. Hawk said to Kelly and stood up. Kelly nodded at him and smiled without any reply. Next day morning, Sam and his friends were already awake and are getting ready to move. Right now they are eating some bear meat. The meat will not taste good, and there is a chance that it might be spoiled soon. We need to get some new food today. So, you can eat as much as you want and don't hold back with the intention of preserving this. This is only third day and we have a long way ahead of us. Now that we know that we need to target the animals with higher level of danger to get rewards, we will get fresh food. Sam said as he took a big bite off of the roasted meat in his hand. The remaining three nodded and continued eating the meat. After their meal, they made preparations. They put the leftover meat and the bamboo containers, along with the defense scroll in the bag. Jack is holding a makeshift bamboo sword he made himself yesterday, and Eve is holding the dagger. Sam held the axe, and Shore was left with the bamboo pike. Sam carried the bag, and four of them started their move. They put out the fire, and Eve is holding the container with the live dried wood, which has a small spark on it. Today, let us go near the stream and explore. From every water source, there is a chance that we can find some trails leading to other animals' nest. If we are lucky, we can have another prey today. They move towards the stream and when they reach there, the bank is empty and there are no other creatures. Sam and Jack started searching for trails while the remaining two are on lookout. When they found no trails of some big animals, they started moving along the bank in the same direction as the stream flow. On the way, Sam saw many trails, but none of them are any of the big animals, and the animals they encountered are also not that big. There are rabbits, wild cats, raccoons and some other animals like that. Since they already have food for now, they are not interested in hunting them. After some time, Sam and the group arrived at a place, which is a bit weird and different. There are no trails of any animals at all. The grass on the bank is too lush and tall, compared to the other areas near the stream. Let us stop here for a while. Rest a bit far away from the bank. When the group sat a bit away from the bank, Sam started looking around. He saw that there are no patches in between the grass near the bank, and the vegetation is too thick, as if there are no animals in the vicinity. When he came back to the group, Jack saw Sam's frown and asked, Is something wrong? Don't you think the grass is a bit too dense and tall when compared to other areas we have been to previously? When Sam asked this question, Jack was a bit confused due to the weird question, but he still answered. Now that you mention it, it does have difference. But does it make any difference? This situation happens when there are no animals in the vicinity, and that happens mostly in two cases. First one, if the vegetation has a problem here, which by my observation is not the case in the second one, they are afraid of something here. Sam explained. But there are any traces of any creature here. There is no place to stay and this territory seemed to unoccupied. What do you think they are afraid of? Jack questioned. How can you say that there is no place to stay here? Sam said and looked at the water stream. Jack understood something and asked. What do you have in mind? If my guess is right, we can get something here. We need to prepare. Even Shore are just listening from the side without saying anything. They actually didn't see anything different here and they didn't notice anything wrong. Collect as much dry leaves and grass as you can. Even small twigs will do. The prerequisite is that they have to burn quickly. As soon as they were lit with fire, they have to burn. Don't bring big ones. Sam instructed and he also moved. He started clearing a patch of green grass and picked up all the dry leaves and created a small place with nothing but soil. There is no grass or any other thing in that patch. Even stones are cleared. After that for an entire hour, they only collected all types of dry leaves, grass, twigs, etc. Jack, go catch some small animals. 2 to 3 will do. Don't bring them near though. Stand there until I tell you to come near. Sure, you assist him. Sam said as he pointed to a tree, where Jack has to stay after bringing the animals. Then he turned towards Eve and said, Help me arrange these twigs and grass around the patch I created. Both of them started arranging the dried grass and twigs around the patch. They arranged it evenly such that it was half a foot high when it was all done. Jack and Shore already came with some wild rabbits. Sam opened the bag and took out all the bear meat left in it. He gathered with his teammates and said, If my guess is right, we are against a highly dangerous animal, and that is even more dangerous than the bear we took out. We should be careful. Sam made a small fire and lit a torch. He gave it to Eve and said, When I say, you have to light the bed of the dead leaves we made just now. Sure, you are responsible for lighting it from other side. Jack, you and I are responsible for the attack. If we can't get it done as soon as we can, we might be in danger. Even sure, both of you should light the bed and move back as fast as you can. After Sam instructed them on what to do, Even Shore got to the positions while he took the freshly caught dead animals with him. He applied the blood to the chunk of the bear meat. He and Jack slowly moved forward with the meat and the dead bodies in hands. He placed the dead bodies in the center of the bed they created, and then took a step back before throwing the bear meat into the stream. As soon as he threw the chunk, a huge disturbance could be heard from under the slowly flowing stream. Sam and Jack stood on both sides with a distance. Slowly, a scaly figure came out of the stream as it looked at the dead rabbits with still warm blood there. It moved quickly and started swallowing it without bothering to look at Sam and others. Now Sam roared as Even Shore lit the bed and ran away. A fire surrounded the alligator which made it go frantic. It grew confused as smoke and started clouding its senses. Just as the fire was about to go off, Sam roared again. Jack, go for the rear. As soon as he said that, he moved and hacked with his axe just below the head, while Jack pierced with the bamboo pike at the rear. The alligator struggled, but Sam didn't give it any chance. Neglecting the heat waves from the flames, he pressed the upper jaw of the alligator with the leg, and hacked it again at the same spot, finally making it stop struggling. Sam panted as he moved aside. Jack also moved to other side. Both of them are affected by the smoke and heat of the fire. Sam's pants have slight burns at the edges. He looked at the alligator and thought, if not for the fact he needs to gain points, he would have never gone to so much trouble to take on an alligator. The risk is after all higher when compared to the normal land animals. One bite and we will lose a huge chunk along with the bone. Just as he was about to relax, Sami shouted. Sam turned towards Eve and followed her gaze, then only he saw another alligator with its mouth wide open behind him. He immediately moved, but the axe was left behind in process of leaving some distance between him and the beast. Sam squatted on the ground as he looked at the alligator, which is clearly larger than the previous one by 1.5 times. This seemed to be an adult one. It looked at Sam menacingly. He is the closest of all people here to the beast. When Jack saw the situation, he was about to make a move, but Sam gestured him to stop. Alligators are very fierce when compared to other beasts. Many people have misconceptions that the alligators are slower on the land, which couldn't be any more far from the truth. Any slight disturbance when they are alert, they might go berserk. Sam and the beast were in a stare down. Suddenly the beast moved swiftly towards him, and he also lunged forward. Before the beast could open its large mouth, Sam climbed on its back and pressed his whole weight on it. He used all his might to make the mouth close, then both man and beast wrestled as they rolled on the riverbed. Jack was helpless as he watched the situation. He can't just butt in and attack as it may injure Sam. So, he held the makeshift bamboo sword tightly as he looked at the struggle. Dagger, Sam shouted, waking the people from their daze. Eve felt her hands shaking as she threw the dagger towards Sam, which fell near him. Sam and the alligator continued on the wrestle. His clothes started to tear apart. He didn't wear his coat as it will pass as an artifact. His muscles are bulging as he sweated profusely. After an intense effort, he finally got hold of the dagger. Then he rolled over and then with the dagger he started stabbing on the abdomen of the beast. For an alligator, the skin is hard all over, and the only relatively soft place is the abdomen area. He stabbed continuously without stopping for a second. He stabbed until his arm felt sore and a pool of blood was formed under him. Even after the beast stopped struggling, he still didn't stop. He stopped only after almost all the abdominal area was riddled with holes. He almost stabbed more than 30 times. Sam kicked the body aside and sat up with struggle. Jack came to him and gave him some water. Even Shore stopped the fire. They didn't know what to say after seeing the struggle Sam had gone through. After Sam regained some strength, he and Jack started dissecting the beasts. But there are no squirrels inside. All 4 of them gritted their teeth in frustration. What do we do? Jack asked as he looked at Sam. Sam calmed down and started thinking, just as he was about to say something. Clap, 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 clapping sound interrupted him. Sam and the group turned to look at the direction from which the claps are coming, and they froze in their movements at the scene. There's a group of people walking towards them with 2 people in the lead. 2 of them had weapons in their hands. The group looked haggard and spent. But there's a glow in their eyes as if they are energized just now. When they are a few feet away, the group stopped. There are 14 people in the group. It seems the 2 teams are combined. See the Drew. Here we're having hard time from 2 days without any warmth and suffering in the cold, eating wild vegetables and fruits, while these guys are even using the fire to take down prey. Yes, Ray. They even have 2 weapons. We had to sacrifice 6 members and work together with both our teams to get our hands on these 2 weapons. Here there are only 4 members and they are able to do this. I wonder if they are cheating. I don't know about that. But these guys seem to be the remaining members of the Team 6 we just took care earlier. The 4 members left must be these 4 guys. The 2 guys in the lead named Ray and Drew are speaking as if Sam and others are not present all. Sam looked around and found 3 middle-aged men in black. 2 of them standing side by side while the remaining one, who is also the person Sam is familiar with, is standing opposite them. Sam still felt his arm hurting a bit and is still exhausted from the struggle with the alligator. Jack is the only one who has fighting experience in close combat, while both Eve and Shore aren't of much help in this kind of situation. This situation is clearly at their disadvantage. Sam passed the dagger to Eve, then asked Shore, "Do you want the axe or are you fine with the pike?" Shore was in a daze for a moment and looked at the axe in Sam's hand. He thought for a moment before rejecting the axe. He knew clearly that the axe or pike wouldn't really make any difference. Sam nodded and stood beside Jack and looked at the group and mostly at the 2 people in the lead. He recognized the 2 men. They're the team members of the Falcon Cliff team, and right now they are part of TEAM 1 and Team 2 respectively. Even though he is at the disadvantage, he didn't show any weakness, for he knew that it will make the opponent's confidence higher. Who is responsible for creating the fire? Ray with the saber in his hands asked them. The 4 of them didn't reply and just stayed silent. "We will leave the person who can make the fire and only deal with the rest. You can also have points priority," Drew said as he played with the sword in his hands. He is very confident that the other party will agree immediately. But what awaited him was only silence. "Surround them," Drew ordered as all of the immediately surrounded the group of 4. Now, Sam's group has streamed behind them while they were surrounded on all the other sides. Meanwhile, the elders are talking. The 2 elders who are together are smiling at the situation, while the elder responsible for Sam's team was just looking at the team peacefully. For convenience sake, I will be referring to the elder responsible for points noting as Elder 1, Elder 2, Elder 3, and so on. So, elder responsible for Sam's team is ELDER6, and the elders from the opposite group are Elder 1 and Elder 2. "How is it going, Elder 6? You must have been frustrated to keep tabs on these people. How did they even get their hands on the 2 weapons?" Elder 2 asked. "Yes, they are dumb enough to separate from the group. Compared to them, the groups 1 and 2 are better. They know that the more people will have more chance to survive," Elder 1 said from the side. Elder 6 didn't say anything. He knew that the 2 elders are just trying to get under his skin. Even when they saw how Sam dealt with an alligator alone, they are still making these comments just because they are sure that Team 6 will be eliminated. Meanwhile, Ray and Drew are still threatening Sam and others to know how they got the fire. They are pretty sick of eating the fruits, and they aren't daring enough to eat raw meat. After a few moments, Sam got sick of this and whispered to Jack, "How many people can you handle?" "I don't know. I can take down 4 people by catching the off guard. The rest will depend on the situation." Jack also answered in a whisper. "Can you hold them back for 5 minutes?" Sam asked again. "I will try," Jack answered after a slight pause. Sam hesitated for a minute and said to the 3 in a whisper, "I will make the first move. You guys have to hold on for 5 minutes. If you think that you can't maintain the deadlock or take them down, try to push them into water." Ray and Drew didn't think much of the situation and didn't stop them from whispering. They just thought that they were discussing regarding the person who made the fire. Sam and others stopped the whispering and turned towards Ray and Drew in front of them. They exchanged a glance and nodded. Ray and Drew were smiling as they thought that the things are going as they expected. But suddenly, Sam and Jack moved at the same time. Sam moved to the right while Jack moved to left. Sam's left hand is still sore, and he swung his axe with the right hand as he struck on one of the ribs of one person standing close to him. His blow is really hard as blood spurted from the torso of the person. Before others could react, he struck another guy and then another guy. By the time the team could come out of daze, 3 members are already down. Sam was almost spent up. There are only 2 people left on his side. Before they could react, he immediately jumped inside the water. On the other side, Jack did a number on them as well. Out of 5 that stood there, he knocked out 3 completely, and 4th one barely stood up, while the 5th one escaped. His makeshift bamboo sword has a streak of red on one edge. He then huddled together with Eve and Shore as he pointed the sword at Ray and Drew. Ray and Drew finally came to senses and took out their weapons as they pointed at Jack. They are fuming with anger. They lost 7 members just like that. They only lost 6 members when they faced 2 beasts and got their hands on the sword and saber. But now to take down the 4 members, they lost 7 members while the other side lost no one. Eve, Shore, just stay calm and try to dodge as much as possible. Whenever they come near you for 2 feet, swing the weapon. Don't let them come closer than 2 feet. Jack whispered. The 2 of them nodded and took a posture with the dagger and the pike to defend. Drew, take down the guy in front. The rest of you will go at the 2 guys in back. I will be backup, Ray said in a serious tone. He is completely furious and he didn't dare to underestimate the other team. When the people started to close into them, Jack along with the other two started walking towards the bank of the stream. Just as they were one step away from the stream, Jack moved and pushed two members into the stream by catching them off guard. This made Drew to grit his teeth in anger. He is furious not because the two members were pushed into the stream, but Jack neglected him. Jack heaved a sigh as he again faced Drew. Now, Even Shore only has to deal with 3 members, and he believed they can hold on for a bit. Now, we can begin, Jack said as he made his view. He and Drew are now in a dodging game as they swung their weapons at each other. Ray at this time is looking at the stream. He is already surprised that Sam didn't come out. But he thought that the other party might have escaped. But now that the 2 people didn't come out, he felt that something was amiss. Just as he was thinking what might have happened, he saw air bubbles on the surface increase, and soon, the 2 teammates floated unconscious. Then he saw a glow under the water surface, and the 2 people disappeared along with a moving shadow. He clearly understood what happened now. Sam is hiding underwater. This scene not only surprised him, but also his remaining teammates. They are now afraid to go near the stream bank. Meanwhile, underwater, Sam is swimming with a small bamboo straw in his hands. This is the reason he dived into the water without thinking. Whenever he is out of breath, he kept the bamboo straw in his mouth and took a breath as he swam and searched at the same time. He is searching for the scrolls or weapons here, but he is mostly hoping that you would have a scroll related to cultivation or attack scroll, since the danger is high with the alligators. While he is searching on the bed of the stream, his remaining teammates are doing a good job fending for themselves. Shore and Eve are in a deadlock with the 3, while Jack is dealing with Drew. He is having a bit disadvantage due to his vulnerable weapon, but it is mainly for the fact that he didn't want to kill his opponent. He is trying to gain some experience by fighting a swordsman. But only elders can understand this. He is just trying to play with Drew while he still kept an eye on Ray. If the latter made any move or he himself gets exhausted, he will knock Drew out as soon as possible. But things didn't go as he planned. Ray did make a move, but he attacked Even Shore. When he realized this, he immediately tried to block him by leaving Drew, but the latter followed him. Now, he was struck in a deadlock with 2 people, both having better weapons than him, and both are in a better condition than him. He immediately felt the pressure. He closed his eyes for a second and took a deep breath. His aura changed and became sharp immediately. He swung the bamboo sword at Drew, who was relatively tired when compared to Ray. The latter dodged immediately, but his robe still tore apart as a slashing sound came. Ray attacked from the side, but Jack was already not in the same spot anymore. Before he could realize that, the bamboo sword came from his behind which he tried to dodge, but was left with a slash on his left hand. Jack stood there as he looked at his 2 opponents calmly. He is beyond tired now. The continuous walking, hunting for the rabbits, trapping the alligator and dealing with the guys, took a toll on him. The last 2 swings almost took all his energy. He is on his last legs. He is regretting not dealing with Drew when he still had a chance. He thought that Ray will attack him directly, so he would be able to do this. But Ray pulled one over him and played the trick. His only relief is that the 5 minutes is almost up. He is hoping he would do something. Ray and Drew also understood from Jack's panting that the other party is almost done. They just had to drag it out. Both of them had a smile on their faces, as they played with Jack, who tried his best to evade. After a few moments, Jack almost fell down. He supported himself with the bamboo sword in his hands as he looked at the 2 people. Ray and Drew had smug expressions on their faces, as they looked at Jack. Just when they thought that Jack would beg them to leave, the latter started laughing mockingly, which surprised them a lot. They exchanged a glance as they came to a decision to take down Jack. But just as they took a step forward, boom, an explosion hit them from behind. They fell forward with their cloths burnt and their backs charred. They painfully looked behind, and Sam stood there in his wet clothes, with 2 scrolls in his one hand, and the other hand has a scroll which was open and lost all runes and split into 2. They gritted their teeth in anger and frustration. They were so content in taking care of Jack, they forgot Sam, who is in water. No. More like that they felt that the latter has no threat to them as he was in water. They didn't think that the other party will take another route and sneak an attack on them. They gritted their teeth and broke their tokens as they felt the pain increase. The 3 people who were in deadlock with Even Shore were distracted by a sudden explosion, and gave a chance to Even Shore, who didn't miss. Just like that, the 14 people who came to them were taken down, and the 4 of them were still in the game. Sam also collapsed on the ground as he laid on his back to rest. Even Shore also took a seat on the ground to take a break. On the side, Elder 1 and Elder 2 were dumbstruck with what happened. They didn't expect that the 4 members who were already exhausted and were also overly outnumbered will come out as winners. This is how they got the 2 weapons and survived until now. Elder 6 said from the side as he walked towards Sam. ELDER1 and ELDER2 felt their faces burning. They immediately left the spot. 105 points in total for your team. How do you want me to distribute? Elder 6 asked Sam, who was still laying on the ground. Eve 25, Shore 25, Jack 28, me 27. Sam said in a weak voice. Wait. Eve and Shore both shouted in unison. Elder 6 looked at them in askance. We didn't really help much. We don't need such high share. Eve said as she timidly looked at her feet. Sam didn't bother with her and just confirmed his earlier suggestion. Elder 6 nodded and left. After half an hour, the four of them were sitting around a campfire as the alligator meat roasted on the fire. Sam placed the 2 scrolls, which are yet to be opened. These are the point scrolls I got underwater. There are 3 scrolls in total. 1 attack scroll and these 2 point scrolls. Each scroll has 20 points each. How do you guys want to divide them? Sam asked as he looked at the other 3. Take a scroll for yourself. We will share the other scroll. Jack will get 10, me, and Eve will get 5 each. Shore was the first one to suggest. Sam looked at Eve and Jack. Both of them nodded in approval. After all, they knew the efforts they put in capturing the alligators. Sam himself fought with one of them. They collected the points with their badges and started eating. The sun is setting as dusk approached while they appreciated the warmth from the flame as they ate the meat after the long struggle. Right now, there are only 2 teams left in the forest, and the other team is already in dire state. There are only 3 people left. Hawk and Cully are taking care of the wounds on their body along with another teammate. Yesterday, they fought with other team and eliminated without losing any of their teammates. But today, they lost 7 members as they encountered a wolf pack, and only 3 of them were able to escape. But they came out with something. Are you sure you want me to take this? Hawk asked Kelly and the other guy. He is holding a scroll, which could partially unseal his cultivation. They had paid a price with 7 teammates to get their hands on this. The other 2 nodded as a sign of approval. Sam and others meanwhile are getting ready to rest. They don't know that there are only 2 teams left in the forest, and they are one of them. They are waiting for tomorrow. Sam and his team took down a team first, the one with Derek. Then they took down 2 teams today, making a total of 3. Hawk's team took down another team. Now only 2 teams left. Points Sam. 64. Jack. 53. Even Shore. 42. Sam and his group stayed at the bank of the stream for the night and started their journey next day. Meanwhile, the only other remaining team, consisting of only 3 members, are staying at the same place, without moving at all. Hawk took the scroll and partially unsealed his cultivation. He is at the 6th stage initiation now. Even though it is very low, he can roam around the forest however he wants, but the main thing is that the 2 people who are left along with him are badly injured, and cannot move freely like him. That is why they plan to stay in the same place for the day. Sam and his team though, they are fatigued. It was gone with the good sleep and food they had. They started exploring the forest. They encountered some small animals, and the beasts with some considerable strength are very rarely seen. They encountered some animals which gave him some points, and the 4th day is over just like that with their final points being Sam, 74, Jack minus 62, Eve and Shore 50. The 5th day, they again started exploring. By this time Eve and Shore are extremely delighted with their decision of following Sam at that time. But they also felt a little guilty when they thought of their points. After all, they didn't do much, but they got a good share. Sam, thank you so much. Shore thanked him when they are walking. Sam looked at him with askance about the gratitude out of blue. Then Eve explained from side. We actually didn't help you much, but you still gave us more than enough points. Thank you very much. You shouldn't thank me. You should thank the people who didn't agree to join us instead. Sam replied and didn't explain further. Both Shore and Eve were puzzled and looking at them. Jack explained with a smile. Actually, it won't be a difference whether there are 2 extra people or 6 extra people with us. Because he can't trust you guys completely. Hell, he doesn't even trust me completely, and every trap or plan he makes is very detrimental and dangerous if any slip-ups occurs. So, he always did major share of the work, and gave me some tasks with importance, because he trusts me more than you guys. So, if there are another 4 extra people, he won't take away points from his or my account. Rather, they will be sharing the miscellaneous tasks you performed as well as the points you got. So, you have to thank the remaining members, who didn't come here. When Jack explained, Eve and Shore were dumbstruck for a second. They didn't expect that the reason would be this. But still they felt that the points are rather high even with that reason. After all, Sam can just take more than half himself, just for the plan he made. After that they didn't talk much, and moved normally. But suddenly Eve collapsed. The 3 of them immediately checked on her and saw a snake bite mark on her ankle. Sam immediately pulled a rope out of bag and tied it tightly around the wound, to not let the venom spread. Then he broke her token immediately. Sam and Jack looked around vigilantly to find the snake. Shore meanwhile was really afraid. When Sam finally found the snake, which is already a distance away, he immediately struck in his movements. Jack saw the solemn expression on his face and immediately got alerted. Sam turned towards Shore and said, The situation is a bit dangerous. I think it is better if you go. Shore nodded and immediately broke his token without any complaints. After all, he has more than enough points to rank higher, and he is sure that you would be ranked extremely higher. Then Sam gestured towards Jack and both of them started running in a direction where there is an open ground. When they reached the place, Sam looked around and felt that the place is a bit better and there are less possibilities for snakes sneaking up on them. What is the situation? Jack asked as soon as Sam calmed down a bit. Actually, this is a situation with the biggest danger as well as the biggest opportunity we encountered, Sam said as he looked at the horizon. What do you mean? The snake that bit Eve earlier is actually an evolved beast. But its combat potential is at the lowest of the snake species. But they have a special ability. They can only sneak on its opponents, but when they bite the people, it is actually lethal. It particularly works against the cultivators and the magical beasts. Sam paused a bit before continuing. The snake before is a blood-striped snake. It actually not only bites the people, but it will also suck as much blood as possible. It is actually in green in color. But after it has its fill, the blood-colored stripes will appear on its back. But this is not the main reason they're dangerous. The venom they inject inside will grow rapidly inside one's body by absorbing the spiritual energy. If you got bit once, if you are not stronger by much, it will kill you with your own spiritual energy. The even more dangerous thing is that these snakes, unlike other snakes, live in a group, and there is a king of snakes, which will absorb the blood from all the snakes and evolve itself. If all those snakes and the king work together, a person with a whole cultivation level higher will have the same situation as a person with same cultivation as them. Then isn't it quite dangerous? We are normal humans. What kind of opportunity are you talking about? Jack asked with confusion. Well, as I said, all of them working together is indeed dangerous, but they can only sneak attack. It will be lethal if a person doesn't know their existence near them, but now that we have already known that we might get an opportunity. Right now, our cultivation being sealed is quite an opportunity. The only dangerous thing about these snakes to us is the blood loss. Even Eve fainted due to loss of blood. It will take a lot of time for the venom to reach the spiritual core. If we are cautious enough, we can make it big. After all, the danger is directly proportional to the rewards we got. Do you want to try? When Sam finished explaining, Jack fell into deep contemplation. Just as he was about to say something, a loud scream was heard from a distance. Ah! Sam and Jack immediately exchanged a glance and started running towards the direction of the scream. Because the voice is familiar to both of them. When they reached the spot, they saw Kelly trying to drag Hawk. The other guy who was helping just now saw the snakes and immediately abandoned Hawk and broke his token to escape. Sam and Jack exchanged a look and immediately helped Kelly. Kelly finally saw hope when she saw Sam and Jack. She almost fell into despair. Sam and Jack carried Kelly and Hawk and ran. When they saw that there are no snakes following them anymore, they finally stopped. Sam immediately searched Hawk's pockets in search of token, then he asked Kelly, "Where is his token?" "I don't know. When he went inside the cave alone, we didn't see anything, but he immediately felt weak and fell unconscious there. Me and the other teammate went inside and dragged him out. After we came to a certain distance, the snakes are still following us." She didn't say the rest, but Sam and Jack could understand what happened. Sam thought about where the token would be and couldn't help but frown. He examined Hawk's condition, and frown got deeper. "Did he unseal his cultivation?" Sam asked in a deep voice. Cully nodded and he immediately got even more serious. "This is serious. If we don't make it fast, he will die. The elders won't interfere without breaking the token. We have to find the token as soon as possible." When Sam finished speaking, Cully started crying. She looked at Sam with some hope and pleading. Hawk is the close friend of hers from childhood. Actually, Sam could really leave them and go on his way, and if Hawk was really a complete stranger, he might even leave him without batting an eyelid. But he had a pretty good impression of Hawk. He has a pretty good heart and is not like other young masters who are arrogant beyond their abilities. He didn't really want a positive person like this to die at such a young age. "Jack, you guys stay here. I will come back in a few minutes," Sam said, and without waiting for reply, he left. He started running in the direction where they saved Kelly and Hawk. After some time, he climbed a tree and like an agile monkey, he started jumping from tree to tree. All this while he is looking at the ground for the token. He didn't find any. When he came close to a cave attached to a hill, he was bewildered to see that the cave is the nest of the blood-striped snakes. The cave is actually pretty open and it is also not deep. There would be a distance of at most 30 feet from the entrance to the wall where two squirrels are attached. One of them is a squirrel he never saw before, and the other is the point squirrel. There is a big snake with some faint red stripes over its green skin near the wall. This is the king snake. When Sam didn't find the token outside, he clearly knew where it is, and that is making him feel cautious. He immediately went back and met up with Jack and others. "I didn't find the token on the way. It must be inside the cave. Right now, Hawk has less than 2 hours to make it. We have to find the token as soon as possible. Kelly and Jack went silent at the thought of this. They didn't know what to do at all. They only looked at Sam with hope that he would have a way out of this situation. Sam pursed his lips and said, "Kelly, you stay near the place and look over Hawk," he said, and passed the saber he obtained from Ray to her. While doing so, collect every dead leaf, dried grass, bird's nest, tree bark, everything that could catch a fire easily. But don't leave him alone, Sam said, and picked up the axe from the bag. He called Jack over and said, "You also collect the same things. You can take the bag and fill it to brim. Come back in half an hour. I need as much as you can collect. And bring some firewood too." After that, both of them separated and Sam went to collect some bamboo poles. He chopped the poles which are raw, as well as which are dry, without any difference. He made it back and forth and brought back bamboo poles, firewood, etc. After half an hour, Jack came back with a bag full of dried waste. Separate the bamboo sections and crack them up. By the time you are finished with it, they must be intact, but they must be in fragile state that they would break with small impact, Sam instructed Kelly and Jack. 3 of them started preparing the section just like Sam said. Sam then stuffed them with the dried waste. Dry grass, dead leaves, dry twigs, nests. He stuffed them completely and placed them inside the bag. Then he placed the firewood inside the bag. Now the bag is filled to the brim, so much that the cover cannot fill it at all. Jack carried the bag carefully, Sam said, and he proceeded to carry Hawk. There is only an hour left for Hawk. They walked carefully without making much noise. After nearing the cave, Sam, with the help of Jack and Kelly, placed Hawk on the tree, and then 3 of them also climbed it. The tree is directly facing the cave opening. Sam took out the firewood and passed them to Kelly and Jack to hold. Then he took out a piece and lit it with the live dried wood and some bird's nest to make a torch. Then Sam lit each torch for both of them. He took out the fragile bamboo sections stuffed with the dry waste and passed each over to them. Light them and throw them into the cave. I will show you how, Sam said, and with the torch, he lit the dry waste inside the bamboo section. After a few seconds, when it was burning considerably, he threw inside the cave directly. Threw one inside and throw one at the entrance, Sam said, and started throwing the sections continuously. Each bamboo section, when hit the cave, broke open, and the burning waste inside immediately spread along the cave, increasing the fire, and the snakes which came into the contact with went into a frenzy. When they came towards the entrance, the situation is not good, as the bamboo sections came there also and started burning. Sam and others then took the dry wood, lit them and threw them inside the cave. After the fire intensified a bit, Sam said, "I will be going in. You guys keep throwing them. You'll only stop either when I come back or when the bag is empty," Sam said, and without waiting for their reply, he climbed down the tree and, wielding the saber and axe, he ran inside the cave. Even though the flames are burning, it is short-lived, as the dried waste won't burn for long. That is why they have to keep throwing. But snakes still got affected by heat and are in a confused state. Sam moved rapidly as chopped the snakes that are in his way. When he faced the king snake, which was in a confused and enraged state, he halted his steps as he moved slowly around it. The senses of the snakes are blocked, and this is the only time Sam saw the token near it. He quickly broke the token with axe, and a shadow took away Hawk from the tree. But both Jack and Cully were still not relieved completely, as the dried wood and the bamboo sections are over. Sam also noticed that the fire is dying and the incoming is stopped. He also guessed the reason, and just as he was thinking about escaping, he was surrounded by the snakes, which are moving slowly towards him. After a few moments, he realized that they are moving towards the king and not him, but that doesn't make him happy, as he is between the king and the remaining snakes. Sam was in a pinch. He doesn't know what to do. The snakes are all slow, because they lost all the energy to resist against the heat, and even the king is in daze. But that didn't give Sam any advantage, as he was also affected by the fire and smoke. Now, Sam has only way. That is that he has to catch the scroll, which he didn't see before. But to do this, he need to get over this king snake, which is about 20 feet long. The only reason it fit the cave properly for all these snakes is that it was coiled. As soon as Sam came to decision, he immediately made his move. First, he swung his axe and hit the tail of the king. The latter hissed and raised his head. Sam jumped up, and with the head of the snake as support, he immediately caught the 2 scrolls and jumped down. But the king snake also came out of the daze and came at him. Sam immediately opened the scroll. Before the snake could bite him, a strange glow came out of his body as his cultivation was removed. He is now at the 9th stage initiation. But Sam noticed a difference. When he is in 9th stage initiation, he doesn't have the elements, but now, his state does have both the light and fire elements. Sam heaved a sigh and immediately made his move. The saber in his hands was immediately covered with golden flames as he swung it. The golden fire shot towards the king and started burning it. Sam didn't stop and he swung the saber, continuously burning everything in the cave, and within a few minutes, he came out with all his clothes almost burned. Jack and Cully heaved a sigh and finally took a breath. Sam gave them the point scroll and immediately sat down on the ground. He passed the token to them and said, "Let us get out of here." Sam said these words and immediately laid on the ground as he closed his eyes. He is exhausted. Even though he recovered his cultivation partially, he used up all his spiritual energy in his attacks to not to take any chances. Jack opened the scroll. There are 40 points written on it. He then looked at Sam and smiled. After a few moments, Sam woke up. He is already out of the forest and is in a big hall where all 60 participants gathered. He saw that all the candidates are looking at him weirdly. He then took a look at himself and saw that he was barely covered with anything. He checked that his cultivation was unsealed completely and that he can access the spatial ring. "Sam, you woke up." Eve spoke from the side. Then only Sam realized that he was with the team 6 members. Jack also saw him and helped him stand up. Sam rejected his help and immediately took a fresh set of clothes and wore them along with his feather coat. Just as he was about to ask what is going on, a voice came. "Now, the second round is over. Take the rest of the day off and rest here. Tomorrow morning, your scores will be announced, and the third round and the final round of the competition will begin." An elder announced and left. Sam was sitting with the rest of Team 6. Soon, some food and water were sent to all of them. When Sam was eating, he could feel the looks of resentment from the others in the team. Precisely, they are the 4 people who were separated without agreeing with Sam's leadership. He didn't bother with them and ate the food in a leisurely pace. After that, he started observing the other teams. Everyone is in a bad shape. Even though their cultivations are restored, they are exhausted mentally. They didn't think that they would be this pathetic without their cultivation. Now, they almost had some newfound respect for the normal people who doesn't cultivate. After some time, Hawk and Cully walked towards him while Philip, Freya, Haley also came to greet him. "Thank you so much, Sam." Hawk immediately bowed as he thanked him as soon as he came. He didn't even say anything at all, other than the deep bow. He didn't say boastful words on how he will repay him, or how he would go through hell, blah blah blah. Sam didn't say anything and just nodded when the latter finally stood up properly. Meanwhile, the remaining candidates are all in shock. Particularly, those from the Falcon Cliff City. They knew exactly how popular and respectable Hawk had in the city. Yet, someone as him is bound in front of a character from the normal subordinate city. They wanted to know what happened. But unfortunately for them, the characters involved are not going to tell them what exactly happened, and neither can they ask them. Soon, the day passed slowly. Next day morning. Everyone is led by an attendant through a way which seemed like a tunnel to a stadium. It is like a Colosseum, but the size is a bit small when compared to the Colosseum in Rome. The seats are filled with spectators, and there is a rectangular stage in the middle. The stage itself occupied 70% of the area. It is really big. The remaining area is also filled with some seats. The attendant went away after leading them here. Sam looked around and his gaze finally landed on the main spectator area, where the count, the principal and several other big shots from the noble families in the other towers sat. He observed them for a bit, and then continued observing the other spectators, the stage, etc. Then Principal stood up from the chair and took a step forward as he addressed in a voice loud enough to not only reach all the audience, but also shut them up to silence. The second round of the tournament is over, and the candidates are here to take part in the final round of the tournament. But before that, the scores of the candidates in the second round as well as the cumulative scores will be announced. After Principal spoke, he gestured to an elder sitting behind him to speak, and the elder came forward and started announcing the scores from backward. Rank 60 candidate Kiba 0 points in second round and 15 cumulative points. Rank 59 candidate Tom 0 points in second round and 16 cumulative points. Rank 58. Rank 57. The elder announced the points and came to top 10 places, and the second round points barely reached 2 digits at the top 5, and that person is none other than Hawk. Rank 5 candidate Hawk second round 12 points and 35 cumulative points. The spectators are all surprised. They thought that Hawk is likely to get highest points. But the top 4 candidates not only surprised the spectators, but also all the officials as well. Because, the points difference is quite high. Rank 4 candidate Shore 47 points. Points include the collected ones, along with the points of their survival days, and 63 cumulative points. Rank 3 candidate E 47 points and 64 cumulative points. Rank 2 candidate Jack 58 points and 81 cumulative points. When they heard the difference, they almost bit their tongues. The difference is not just a 10 or 20 after all. But the first place made them almost have a heart attack, because Rank 1 candidate Sam second round 150 points and 180 cumulative points. When Sam heard the score even, he had a heart attack. After all, he didn't know where all these points came from. Then Jack said from behind, After you lost conscious, Kelly and I explored the cave and found many scrolls. So, the total points became this much. Why didn't you guys take a share? Sam asked with surprise. Well, you were the one who took the whole cave down. Even though we made some contribution, they were after all superficial. If not for saving Hawk, you might have able to clean it up yourself with proper time and planning. I think we don't deserve that much credit. After Jack's explanation, he didn't say anything and stayed silent. The remaining candidates though were looking at him as if he was a monster. They're already vexed by the high scores of the 4 positions, and now they're almost having doubts on meaning of their lives. But Sam felt some searing gazes other than that of envy, jealousy and admiration. They're hostile gazes. Sam turned around and saw the weird trio. He didn't know why he has obtained the hostility of them. There are other people with even more of ridiculous expressions, and they are the 4 people from the Team 6 who left Sam. They are looking at Eve and Shore with shocked and jealous expression. Then the 3 other people targeted their gazes to Dustin, who is the one responsible for separation from Sam and the group. Dustin hid his face in embarrassment upon their gazes. But he also felt unfair. After all, these people could always choose to join up with Sam. They're blaming him unfairly. The principal's voice woke them up. Now that the rankings are announced, the final round will begin soon. This round is about direct combat. In this round you can challenge anyone to duel. But the person should be within 10 ranks above you, and you will lose the chance to challenge again if you lose 3 times in the duels you challenged. But no matter how many times you lose in the duels in which you were challenged, that won't influence your challenging rights. Every battle you lose will give you a negative point, and every battle you win you will gain a positive point. The duels will end at dusk. As soon as the sun sets, the scores will be frozen. So, the scores at the end of the day will be added to the cumulative score, and the rankings will be decided. Principal finished his speech and went to take his seat. Then an elder came to the stage and stood on the center. The candidates surrounded the stage and were eagerly waiting. After all, they are very disappointed on their own performances in the second round. They are eyeing Sam intensely. But when they recalled the monstrous score, they felt that taking down the guy in cumulative ranking will be impossible. After all, they don't have many chances to challenge emulate that number of points. The elder at the center of the stage made some hand seals and placed it on the ground. Then the stage divided into 6 rings separately. Even though the rings are divided, each ring is still as big as basketball court. Then another 5 elders came and boarded the other 5 stages. The elder who came first said, "There will be 6 duels going on simultaneously. A person can have a 10 minutes break maximum between each duel if he is challenged after just completing a duel. You can use any weapon within rank 2 and below. The rank 3 weapons, single-use inscriptions, formation discs, pills and other medicines, are all forbidden to use on the ring. The fight will be over if one candidate is unconscious or killed or surrenders. If other party surrenders and still the candidate attacks, the candidate will be eliminated from not only the 3rd round, but also the entire competition." After Elder said these words, he gestured them to start. Immediately 6 people climbed the rings and issued their challenges. Sam was also challenged by some in the very first round. The one who challenged is one of the weird trio who is also in the top 10. He is in top 10 because of his cumulative score from the first round. In fact, Sam saw a lot of people he is familiar with in top 10. For example, his 3 teammates in second round, Hawk, Kelly, Philip and the weird trio. When he was challenged by Yash, he was not least bit surprised and went on to the stage. Yash is at level 1 novice stage. Sam didn't know whether the other party is a warrior or mage, but he didn't really care that much. Sam stood at the one end of the ring while the opponent is at the other end of the ring. "Begin." The elder confirmed, and soon as his voice faded, Yash moved. He is fast and his movements are swift and smooth. He moved towards Sam straightforwardly. But the latter didn't move at all, standing at the same place. Yash suddenly changed his movement and flicked his sleeve. Swish swish, he saw some flashes in the air as 2 small knives made his way towards him. Both of them aiming at his vitals. One at his heart and one at his eye. Nobody expected this. They thought that Yash is a warrior who is good at the close combat, that is why they were surprised a bit. Just as Yash thought that Sam was caught off guard about the knives, the latter moved his hands, and by the time he stopped, all people gasped in surprise. Sam caught the 2 knives with his fingers. Yash was the one most surprised. He felt that he did a good job distracting the other party with his movements, but all of it was nothing. Sam didn't make a move as Yash moved back. He just took a look at the knives as if he was examining the craftsmanship. Sam slowly started moving towards the center of the stage. Yash was a bit cautious and decided to make his move. He moved like he was wind around the stage as he threw knives at Sam. The knives are flashing while cutting through the air. Within no time, Sam was being surrounded with the fast-moving knives. He has to say he was impressed. Spectators were looking at the stage with interest. "Nice knife throwing technique. That kid has potential." Count Falcon said with appreciation. Indeed. But the other kid seems to be pretty compassed. Castor said from the side. They were also looking at this fight intently. They were even more impressed at Sam's calm state. Sam looked at the knives flashing with spiritual energy from all the directions. Yash is moving around and throwing them. Sam dodged a few at first, but the next ones seemed to be getting more and more in quantity. He gave a smirk, and Sam also made his move, which took the spectator's breath away. Sam didn't move from the place, instead his movements are combined to the same place he stood as he moved rapidly. All they can see the after images of his hands, legs and his head. He dodged some knives, he repelled some knives, and he caught some. By the time Yash got to rest, he was dumbfounded. Sam was standing at the same spot. But this time, he has a lot of knives in his hands. Sam caught a knife in between his fingers, and he even caught some with his toes, and hell, he even had a knife in his mouth. Yash was gaping his mouth as he looked at Sam in disbelief. By the time he came out of his stupor, Sam made his move again. This time, the move enraged Yash, because Sam is copying his own move. Sam moved around the ring just like Yash did, and started throwing the knives from all directions, but the thing is that the knives are enveloped with golden fire, and the speed of it was even faster than Yash's. Yash immediately got alerted and tried his best to defend. By the time Sam was done with half of the knives in his hands, Yash was already panting. It took all his energy, but his black dress still had some holes in it. Sam smirked and said, "Not bad. Now let us see how you are going to deal with it." This time Sam started using his phantom steps and moved. The knives flew again, and this time, Sam even picked the knives that strayed on the stage. He is pretty leisure. But Yash is in complete opposite state. Because the knives this time are pretty different, and the reason is that Sam is throwing the knives with the light elemental energy, along with the fire elemental energy. The speed of them increased quite a bit, and it has same effect as phantom step. Yash was unable to see them properly. Yash screamed as a knife pierced him in his calf. Swoosh swoosh. Just then another 2 knives flew over and pierced through abdomen. I surrender. Yash didn't even hesitate as he surrendered. Sam stopped his assault and stood still. Sam 1 point. Yash -1 point. Elder announced the result. Sam went off the stage and gave a provocative smile to the weird trio. He knew that they were targeting him for some reason. He didn't know why, nor does he really care. He only have one thought in mind. You guys better be prepared if you want to provoke me. The fights on the other platforms are still going on, but most of the spectators are all observing the platform where Sam had his fight. Even after Sam was done with the fight, they're still looking at him as if they were looking at a monster. After all, who would take down an opponent who is at higher level than you using their own technique? It is more of a humiliation than defeat. Sam is literally rubbing in that guy's face that he is trash. Nobody wants to experience such a defeat. They're even thinking why this guy did something like that, taking things that far for a tournament. He could just defeat him normally, right? But only Sam and the trio knew that it is not that simple. The trio are targeting Sam intentionally, and Sam is just playing along with them. Nevertheless, the fights continued. But Sam wasn't challenged. Instead, the rest of the top 10 are receiving challenges one by one. Soon, Jack was challenged. Both Sam and Jack knew who that guy is. He is True, the swordsman who is also one of the leaders of the 14-man team who wanted to fight against Sam's team. Jack slowly lighted the stage with a normal sword. Right now, he is not using the black meteorite sword, because there might be someone knowledgeable recognizing the sword material and him getting into trouble. He needs to get a sheath to cover it up to carry it around after the tournament. I am going to make you guys regret what you did to us. Both you and that Sam are just some country bumpkins. How dare you sneak attack us from behind? Drew said as soon as Jack came onto the platform. He is really angry and jealous that he lost to Sam and Jack, even with the overwhelming advantage in number, and that too, when they caught the others in their weakened state. He is just making excuses for himself out of shame to get back at him. Jack didn't say anything at all. He just looked at Drew coldly. He is also a little bit pissed at the last battle. He is overwhelmed with numbers, and these guys also tried to gang up on him. If he was in his best form, he might be able to sweep the floor with these guys. He is already angry at them and wanted to find a way to settle scores, and here they're giving him a chance directly. Drew held his long sword as he pointed at Jack. He swiftly made his move as the sword made an elegant arc in the air as it went towards his arm. Drew is aiming at Jack's arm. Jack didn't move at all. His sword is still in sheath. Just before the sword made contact, a keening could be heard, and Drew felt his sword meet another solid blade before deviating from the original direction. When he came to his senses, Drew's arms were vibrating as he held the sword in the air. He looked around and found that Jack is still in same posture. There is no change at all. Even his sword has no signs that it was taken out. Drew felt a little dazed. He didn't know how he was deviated from his original path. But he clearly missed his target, but the other party didn't seem to move at all. He shook his head and swung his sword again. This time he aimed at other party's chest. But just like previous time, just before he made contact, he missed. The other party is still standing there without any signs of movement. What happened? This question is not only ringing in Drew's head, but also a lot of spectators. After all, there are a lot of people who are paying attention to the members and top 10 participants. Drew gritted his teeth and tried to calm down. He again attacked but missed. He again attacked, aiming at different parts of body. Arm. Missed. Leg. Missed. Heart. Missed. Eyes. Missed. Torso. Missed. Head. Missed. He continuously attacked and attacked only to be missed. He felt as if he was aiming at the wrong direction completely. All he knew is that every time he attacked and the sword was about to make contact, he could hear a keening sound, and that's it. By the time he came to his senses, he is standing there like an idiot. After some relentless failure, Drew stepped back and kept some distance between both of them. Let us see how you are going to dodge this. He gritted his teeth and started concentrating. His long sword started glowing with spiritual energy. He held the sword with both his hands and swung it. The Andrew sword style. Sword shower. Drew said and started making sword moves. There are sword lights in form of stabs, slash, pierce. The combination of the sword moves was done with very basic of sword movements. The sword lights didn't move. They froze in the air as if they were waiting, and with a final slash, all the sword lights started moving towards Jack. The air around him turned sharp. The dangerous sword aura emitting from the move clearly showed the threat it would pose. Andrew's sword style. It has been a long time since I last saw this. Castor said as he touched his chin. Yeah, this Drew kid seemed to have good talent in sword. The sword shower isn't a simple move. But he still was able to learn it when he is still at the late stage acolyte. But I think the move will only show its full power when it is made a novice level. Count Falcon also commented from side. Even the crowd was watching to see how Jack will deal with this. That is the young master Drew for you. He is after all the prodigy, and the sword style of his family is quite unique. Yes, I think that other guys might not dodge it. Yeah, even if he is good at dodging, the attack this time covers too much of the area. I think it is quite difficult. Meanwhile, Jack, who is at the receiving end of the attack, is quite relaxed. He stared at Drew's movements with concentration as he examined the other party, putting all his remaining power into a single attack. His hand slowly moved towards the sword hanging in the sheath at his hip. He held the sword handle with his right hand as his spiritual energy started circulating. You aren't as bad as I thought, Jack said to Drew, and just when the numerous sword lights are about to converge towards his vitals, he has a smirk on his face. But you are still not good enough to take me down. After these words, Jack drew the sword out of his sheath. A majestic sword light came out of the along with the sword, and immediately disintegrated the sword shower. Sword draw. Jack muttered under his breath. Drew just looked with his weak body as his attack disappearing into nothing, and still the sword light started making its way towards him. He felt like all his nerves and even his will could feel the sharpness of the sword light. Before he can comprehend the feeling of this sharpness, he felt his flesh cut open as a deep gash was formed on his chest. Before he knew it, he fainted due to the blood loss. Winner Jack. +1 point. Candidate Drew. -1 point. Elder declared as Jack made his way downwards. He stood beside Sam and exchanged a nod. That move is great, Castor said to Count. Why are there so many good candidates from the Starwood City? First that guy named Sam, who is good at everything we tested today, and now this guy. His sword style is very unique. His movements are elegant, swift, and there are no extra movements at all. It is as if he is too lazy to make any extra moves, but every move he made is extremely accurate and precise. Count also gave his evaluation. The audience also felt surprised by the development. They thought that Jack would try to dodge or defend. They thought that Jack is strong from the earlier performance, but he never thought that he would be strong enough to not only counter the strongest move from his opponent, but they never expected that he would be able to do so in one move. Meanwhile, there are changes in the top 10. Even Short dropped out after their first challenges. Sam actually thought that he would be highly challenged, but actually the most challenges were directed towards Hawk. Right now, Hawk is fighting with another person Sam is familiar with, actually more like a person who Sam fought with. Ray and Hawk are standing on the stage. Hawk, today I am going to take you down. You have been on the top for too long. You can try then. Hawk replied and started forming hand signs. Ray swung his saber towards him, but the latter didn't move at all. Just before the saber reached him, he floated through the air as he moved backwards. Then before Ray tried to make a next move, wind blades started forming around him. The wind condensed in the form of blades started attacking Ray from all the directions. Hawk continuously made hand seals as he sent the wind blades one after another. Ray got himself busy. He is cursing inside his heart so much. This is the reason he made the first move against Hawk, to not to fall into the trap of these wind blades. but he failed again. Just when he was about to make her relax a bit, he heard Hawk's voice. "Let us finish this." Just then he realized that he focused too much on the wind blades. When he looked at Hawk, he is already done casting. Dual wing slash. Hawk muttered as a wind elemental energy condensed into a hawk, and two heavily condensed wind blades in form of wings started moving towards him. Before he knew it, he has two deep gashes on his chest as he flew off the stage. Sam was impressed at Hawk's usage of wind energy. Surprisingly, Hawk turned towards him and gave a smile. Time passed. Sam was getting bored. He was expecting some challenges, but no one is challenging him. After Yash's defeat, the weird trio also didn't challenge him at all. The top 10 places didn't change much. Except for Even Shore, replaced by Ray and Drew. There are no changes. Surprisingly, the 11 and 12 places are familiar to him. Jesse and Dustin are in 11th and 12th places. Just when he was feeling that there would be no challenges, Hawk went onto the stage and called his name. Sam immediately got energized. "Finally," he said as he walked towards the stage in high spirits. After all, he has seen Hawk fighting, and he was pretty much thinking of getting a first-hand experience himself. Sam went up to the stage and said to Hawk, "I thought nobody is going to challenge me anymore." At last. Hawk just smiled and didn't say anything. "Begin," Elder announced. But both Sam and Hawk didn't move immediately. They just looked at each other and tried to see what is other party's intention. The stare down went on for a few seconds. They didn't move, neither. They looked at different directions. They just stared at each other, and tension rose. Finally, Hawk spoke. "You were more patient than what rumors mentioned." As soon as he said that, he started making hand seals. Sam just stood there and didn't do anything. He just stood there and looked at Hawk, as if he was watching a performance. And soon, Sam is surrounded by wind blades, from all sides. He is observing the wind blades that are coming towards him. He can feel the sharpness of the blades, and the threat they could pose. When they were 2 feet away, Sam made his move. With his superior speed, the wind blades didn't pose much threat to him. He moved fluidly without making any contact with the wind blades, but before he could relax, another wave of wind blades are coming towards him, but this time the density of attack increased. The number of blades became twice the previous time. This time, Sam didn't just evade them, but he started moving forward. The spectators are watching the fight in awe. They knew about Hawk's wind blades attack. He is very proficient in its control, and if his opponent gets struck in the first wave, he was almost done with it. Even when the opponent is able to make it through the first wave, he might not make it to the second wave. If he makes it through the second wave, the third wave might take him down. And every time the density of attacks increases such that evading is not an option anymore. But Sam is dodging and he is making his way forward. Just when Sam was 3 feet away from Hawk, the latter floated with the cover of wind blades, and went to opposite side. Elemental fusion. Sam muttered as he looked at Hawk, who stopped attacking. When Hawk heard Sam's words, he was surprised. "Not bad, you can recognize the elemental fusion," Hawk said. Sam didn't reply. Of course, he can recognize it. He himself can do it after all. But Sam was pretty impressed with Hawk. The latter is using the elemental fusion on his legs and is floating. Even though he can't use it directly to fly, but hovering a bit is not really a problem. "Why are you not using your elemental powers?" Hawk asked. "Well, nobody is bothering to challenge me anyway. Might as well make most our battle and see what I can do," Sam said, but he still didn't attack. He is waiting for Hawk to attack, and he will test himself. After all, it is not every day that he gets to fight with a novice level 1 fighter, with this much control over his element. Hawk formed hand seals, and this time they are much faster. This time air on the stage all started circling around Sam. The image resembled a small tornado circling around him. Just as he was examining it, he felt that it is a little difficult to breathe. The tornado is trying to create a vacuum. Just when he thought that these are the only tornado's effects, he felt his feet floating, and then suddenly a wind blade formed within the tornado and attacked him from behind. Even though the feather coat stopped the attack, he wasn't feeling happy at all. He felt that he is being a bit too passive. Sam then spread his hand towards the wind currents, and his hands started conjuring fire. He controlled the golden flames with the enormous heat, and made it circle the tornado in its opposite direction. But when he tried it in the beginning, the fire is being affected by the wind speed. When spectators started feeling that Sam's attempts are futile, he increased the intensity of flames. They started circulating with very high speed and the intensity also high, and before he knew what's happening, Hawk felt that something is amiss. His control over wind tornado became difficult and unstable, and while he tried to control it, Sam already came out of the tornado. Sam and Hawk stared at each other when Sam said, "Maybe you want to use your dual wing slash. Are you sure?" "Yeah, you can use it. Let's see if I can deal with it." When Sam said these words, Hawk was already almost done with his hand seals. A hawk materialized in front of him, and the 2 wing-shaped wind blades moved towards Sam. This time, Sam didn't just stand there. He took out his golden staff and started spinning it. The two ends of staff are directing and condensing a huge amount of fire as he spun the staff above his head. Before the wind blades neared him, Sam threw the condensed fire towards them. Both the attacks collided and negated each other. Sam and Hawk came into a deadlock. "You are really good." "I thought that Cully is exaggerating." Hawk praised. "You aren't bad yourself." Sam returned the praise. "Maybe we should stop testing each other." "Why don't you become serious?" Hawk asked as he started making hand seals. This time neither replied nor just stood in place. Instead he made his move with his staff. When he swung his staff and was about to make contact with Hawk, a wind shield formed and stopped it. Sam took a step back and again did the same. This time the wind shield again made the contact. But Sam didn't withdraw, and an explosion happened at the point of contact, pushing Hawk a step back. Sam didn't miss the opportunity and followed with attack after. His moves are fast and precise. Hawk wasn't able to see him at all other than he could see as the after image Sam left behind after an attack. Soon, he wasn't able to cope with the speed and took the full force of an attack. He fell down on his back as he spewed some blood from his mouth. Sam didn't stop. He made his move again, and just as he was about to make another successful attack, something unexpected happened. Hawk is covered by a water shield, and a water sphere was launched towards him at the same time. Sam took the full force of attack and landed a few feet away. He coughed out some blood and stood up. When he came to his senses, he saw Hawk covered with a water sphere on all sides. "Oh, you are a dual elemental mage. Didn't see that coming," Sam said with a smirk. He didn't seem discouraged at all. But he failed to see the spectators' expressions, which are filled with shock. "What, Hawk is a dual elemental mage? I never knew this." "Yeah, he really hit deeply. I thought he only has one wind element. Who would have thought that he also had water element?" Even Castor and Count Falcon felt surprised, for different reason though. "I never thought he would use water element here. He said that he might not need to use this in this tournament." Count Falcon said to Castor. "I thought that it was his trump card." Castor spoke. "No. He said that there are no worthy opponents who forced him to use it. Now he seemed to have found someone. Maybe it is better this way," Count said as he eyed Sam with interest. Sam again picked his staff and made his move. This time his speed is actually faster and there is a golden flash along with his afterimage. He swung his staff and attack hit the water shield with the same explosion. The water on the surface of the shield evaporated, but the impact of the explosion and the hit of the staff are reduced in the form of ripples on the water. He didn't stay there and immediately moved. Then a water sphere was launched to the place where he stood a moment ago. Sam continued to make his move with the staff, and Hawk countered with same defense and attack. Even after tens of exchanges, the deadlock remained. Both of them weren't able to make some damage. But the situation changed. When Sam landed a hit on the shield, the water dispersed a bit and held the staff in place, delaying Sam's movement for a second, making him have a close shave with a water sphere. But Sam didn't change the strategy. High speed increased. He is trying to see how much speed he needs to take down the water shield without using too much of spiritual energy. When he found out that this method is futile, Sam landed a hit and instead of escaping, he stood there and placed his hand on the shield. Hawk was a bit startled by this sudden change of pattern and was caught off guard. Before he realized what is happening, he saw Sam smirk and the latter injecting a huge ball of golden flame into the water shield. "What? He is using the fire against water?" "Yeah. It is futile. I think he is using this as a last resort." "Why are you calling a last resort? You know that fire is weaker against the water. So, what is the point of using it that close and that too on the water shield directly? The chances are almost nil." "Yeah, maybe you are right." Spectators are judging Sam's actions, but Hawk, who is very close to the fire, realized something is not right. The golden flame is small in size, and it should have been extinguished, but it is still burning like nothing happened as it continuously turned the water around him into steam. Sam smirked as he made eye contact with Hawk, and immediately increased the amount of energy he released, making the intensity and size of the golden flames higher and higher, completely evaporating that side of water shield. Before Hawk could prepare himself, Sam's attack landed on his chest squarely, sending him flying. Sam didn't follow with attack. Because, he is also panting. He scolded himself for trying so many times with staff. Even though he wanted to grind his skills, now he has to conserve his energy. Hawk stood up with much difficulty. He is trying to guess what happened exactly. He looked at Sam with newfound admiration as well as competitive spirit. Sam is also very impressed with Hawk. He has full understanding on his capabilities, and knew that he could take down a level 2 novice. But he wasn't able to take down Hawk, who is at level 1 novice. That means the other's battle prowess is not be trifled with. "I never thought that I need to use this move in this tournament. I prepared it for a bigger stage, but Sam, you have my respect for making me use this move." Hawk spoke and released a huge amount of spiritual energy. The stage is surrounded with water bubbles. Sam observed them and saw that the bubbles, which are in size of football, are rotating on their own axes. Sam looked at the bubbles and then stared at Hawk, who closed his eyes and spread his hand wide open. He took the staff in his hands and swung it in the air, which shot a fireball towards Hawk. But before the fireball could reach the target, a water bubble collided with the fireball, and both of them disappeared. But Sam suddenly felt something was wrong, and before he realized what is happening, 3 wind blades flew towards him from the point of collision, and left a deep gash on his chest, where the coat didn't cover. Sam took a step back and he accidentally collided with another bubble. 3 wind blades attacked again from behind. This time though, he only felt the impact. Sam steadied himself and stood up properly. He looked at the bubbles and then at Hawk. Hawk is using this time to recover the energy. Sam felt that he should deal with the situation as soon as possible. He stored the staff away and took the golden crescent out. When spectators saw the weird weapon with 2 blades, they were confused. Sam moved the symbol and shifted it to bow mode. He took a deep breath and concentrated the spiritual energy to his legs, and jumped high up in the air. While he started falling, he moved his hands with incredible speed as he sent arrows after arrows at Hawk. Hawk sensed the arrow with fire spiritual energy coming towards him, and he started guarding with the bubbles. But the arrows became faster and faster, and even more trouble is that they are negating the wind blades inside the bubbles with explosion up on the contact. Sam didn't stop as he showered the stage with arrows, all converging to a single point. Finally, Hawk wasn't able to deal with it, and was hit by an explosion of a volley of arrows, but before he could fall, he sent the remaining bubbles towards Sam, who was almost down on the stage. Both candidates were exposed to their opponent's attacks. They fell down on the stage without a least bit of energy left. Hawk has his cloths tattered and filled with injuries. But Sam's cloths are still good. His vest though got torn, and there are gashes on his upper chest and torso. The fight is a draw, the elder said. Jack and Cully came to the stage and escorted both Hawk and Sam down the stage.